Welcome back to Dusk and Dreams. I'm Yarrow, but tonight, as the shadows stretch a little longer and the veil between thought and myth thins, you can call me Wild Dragons. Tonight isn't soft. It isn't warm. Tonight, we aren't drifting gently into dreams. We're plunging, because not all dreams are peaceful. Some dreams come cloaked in shadow. Some leave claw marks on your mind. And some carry urgent messages. We're stepping into the darkened corridors of sleep to meet the Oneiroi, ancient Greek spirits of dreaming. They're the sons of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night, and siblings to sleep, death, and fate themselves. These are the black-winged shadows that rise each night from the palace of sleep to deliver dreams to gods and mortals. Some brought truth, some brought terror, and some beautifully blurred the line between the two. But before we fully dive in, let's take a breath. Because where we're going, the night listens back. Let's start with their origin story. The Oneiroi were not dreamers. They were dream bringers. They didn't have dreams. They delivered them. As I mentioned, they were children of Nyx, the primordial goddess of night herself, and siblings to truly powerful figures like sleep, death, and fate. Right away, that tells you how important and serious they were in the cosmic order. In Hesiod's Theogony, an ancient Greek poem about the origin of the gods, the Oneiroi are described as thousands of dark-winged spirits who rise at dusk from the shadowy gates of the underworld. They slip through the cracks between worlds, unseen, to visit sleepers, delivering their nightly visions. Among this multitude, there were 3 central brothers, each embodying a different kind of dream, each with their own unique power and signature touch on the mind of a sleeping mortal. Morpheus, the most well-known, was the shaper of human dreams. He could enter your sleeping mind, taking on the exact form of familiar people, friends, family, even strangers, and mimic their voices, gestures, and expressions so perfectly that dreamers truly believed they were experiencing reality. His dreams often carried messages from the gods or revealed truths hidden deep within our own subconscious. In this way, Morpheus served as both a messenger and a mirror, showing us what we needed to see, often cloaked in the familiar. Phobetor, sometimes called Icolos, specialized in nightmares. Where Morpheus used human forms, Phobetor brought forth the monstrous. Think of snakes in your bed, creeping shadows at your door, or crashing waves that threaten to drown you. These were his chilling gifts. His name literally means frightener, and he was the master of conjuring the dream beasts, the predators, the natural disaster, the primal fears that lurch from beneath the surface and jolt you awake. To encounter Phobetor in a dream was to dance with dread, to face raw, unfiltered fear. Phantasos ruled over the surreal, the abstract, the dreams that completely defy ordinary understanding. Statues that bleed, cities made of glass, oceans that speak. These were his strange and beautiful domain. He built symbolic landscapes, blending elements of nature with the fantastical, shaping subconscious truths in allegorical, almost artistic forms. Phantasos was the dream artist, pulling from a palette of metaphor and pure intuition, painting scenes that leave you pondering for days. Together, these brothers didn't just visit dreams. They were the authors, sculptors, and deliverers, sending them with intention from their home near the underworld. And how did their dreams reach the living world? through two mythical gates as told in Homer's ancient stories. The Gate of Horn. From this gate, true dreams, honest messages, revelations, prophecies emerged. If a dream came through this gate, it could be trusted, but you might still need to interpret its meaning. The Gate of Ivory. This gate released false dreams, visions sent to deceive or distract, often beautiful and alluring, but ultimately misleading. So even in myth, not all dreams were created equal. Some were sacred messages. Others, illusions spun from the night. The trick, as ever, was knowing which was which. Next, let's get into the science of nightmares and the real demons within. These days, we know a little more about where nightmares truly come from. But I can tell you, understanding the science doesn't make them any less eerie. Nightmares are vivid, emotionally intense dreams that often wake us up with lingering fear or anxiety. They happen during REM sleep, just like regular dreams. But during nightmares, the parts of our brain that handle strong emotions, especially the amygdala, our fear center, are incredibly active. Nightmares can be triggered by many things: stress and anxiety from daily life, trauma or PTSD, where the brain is trying to process difficult memories, certain medications, and even simple sleep deprivation, where your brain tries to catch up on processing when you finally do sleep. But sometimes they seem to rise out of nowhere. And when that happens, it's no wonder ancient cultures believed outside forces, like the Oneiroi, were responsible. Let's talk about something truly fascinating: sleep paralysis. This is when your rational mind is wide awake, but your body remains temporarily frozen, stuck in that REM sleep state. Many people who experience this report terrifying figures standing near them, or feeling a heavy weight on their chest. Sound familiar? The ancient Greeks weren't alone in telling stories of sleep demons. Cultures across the world described similar nocturnal terrors. The night hag is one of the most enduring legends. In many parts of Western Europe, she's described as an old, witch-like figure who perches on the chest of a sleeping victim, making them feel paralyzed and breathless. This terrifying overlap between a real physical phenomenon and ancient folklore has haunted people for centuries, truly bridging the gap between myth and science. The Mara, from Norse and Scandinavian traditions, has an eerily similar role. In fact, the word nightmare even traces its linguistic roots back to Mara. This malevolent spirit would creep into homes at night, sit atop a person's chest, and twist their dreams into something dreadful. Beyond that, the Mara was believed to directly manipulate thoughts, tapping into the sleeper's deepest fears and magnifying them into pure horror. The incubus and succubus, demonic figures from medieval European lore, brought a different kind of terror. The incubus, male, and the succubus, female, were said to seduce and drain the energy from sleepers, feeding off their life force through disturbing and often sensual dreams. Victims would wake exhausted, unsettled, and sometimes physically drained, leading entire generations to believe they'd been visited by dark spirits. And then there's the Baku of Japanese mythology, offering a rare note of comfort. Described as a chimera-like creature with parts of various animals, like an elephant trunk, a tiger paws, and an ox tail. The Baku is summoned after a nightmare by whispering, "Baku, eat my dream." Unlike the others, the Baku doesn't bring fear. It takes it away. But there's a catch. If it's still hungry after eating your nightmare, it might devour your hopes and ambitions too. a gentle warning that even comfort has its complexity. Even now, science hasn't fully explained why these dark visitations, or the feelings they cause, feel so incredibly real. But what we do know is that they speak to something deep and primal in us, something that transcends simple biology. Two listeners who, while not having actually called the Baku, or even thought they would be visited by one of these night powers, have written in and shared dreams that truly felt otherworldly. Not just bad dreams, but ones that seemed to be touched by the power of ancient night messengers. First up, Jenna from Oregon shares she often dreams of standing in a vast hallway of mirrors. In each mirror, she sees a version of herself, some smiling, some crying, one staring back with completely black eyes. She always wakes with her heart racing, uncertain which version of her is real. Jenna, this feels like the unmistakable touch of Morpheus, the shaper of human dreams. A dream like this invites you not just to observe, but to confront the many versions of yourself that live beneath the surface. The smiling reflection might symbolize the self you show to others, the one who's trying to be fine. The crying version might hold pain that hasn't yet been fully expressed, and the version with black eyes, that could be your shadow self, the part of you that feels invisible, feared, or perhaps forgotten. To see all of these reflections at once suggests a deep inner reckoning. The dream doesn't tell you which version is real, because perhaps they all are in some way. The question it leaves behind is this: which version of yourself are you ready to meet? Which one is asking to be acknowledged, embraced, or healed? Dreams like these aren't just reflections. They're powerful invitations to become more whole. Next, Darren from Wales described a recurring dream of an endless staircase winding through the clouds. Every step he takes, a whisper behind him gets louder. He never sees who it is, but he always wakes before reaching the top. Darren, this sounds like Phobetor, perhaps, the master of nightmares. This dream feels like a direct encounter with the darker architect of fear-laced visions. The staircase winding endlessly into the clouds isn't just a surreal setting. It's a powerful picture of the emotional weight of ambition, expectations, and the fear of failure. Darren, you might be climbing towards something you believe you're meant to achieve. Success, freedom, or approval. But the higher you go, the louder that whisper behind you becomes. That whisper could be doubt, or guilt, or a voice from the past telling you you're not good enough. The fact that you never see who it is and never reach the top suggests that you're caught in a cycle of striving without a clear end. This is the work of Phobetor, conjuring the monsters that don't live outside us, but sometimes within. And the staircase, it might be telling you that there's something important not at the top, but behind you, something you need to turn and face. Perhaps it's not about escaping upward, but grounding yourself and listening to what's been chasing you all along. These aren't just tales of fear, they're invitations. Dark, yes, but deeply revealing. You see, we often think of nightmares as enemies, things to avoid or quickly forget. But they're not. They're crucial messengers. In psychology, nightmares are sometimes described as emotional fire drills. They're not accidents or glitches in our sleep system. They're rehearsals. When you dream of being chased, falling, or losing something precious, your brain is running simulations, preparing you to handle the very emotions that might shake you in waking life. Fear, confusion, shame, sorrow. They all get their trial runs when you sleep. And sometimes these rehearsals are the only chance your body and mind get to speak honestly to each other about what's truly bothering them. Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, believed that to become a whole person, we must acknowledge and integrate not just the light parts of ourselves, but also the shadow, the hidden, often uncomfortable parts we tend to push away. And that shadow often appears first in dreams, especially the dark ones. Nightmares aren't just random psychological static. They're symbolic stories of what we've avoided, denied, or buried beneath the surface. They're your subconscious holding up a mirror and whispering, "See me, I matter." A nightmare about drowning might not be about water at all. It could be the immense pressure you've been under, the expectations piling up until you feel like you can't breathe. A faceless stranger chasing you might be your own ambition or your own fear of failing. Wearing a mask. Nightmares are rarely polite, but they are honest. They tell us the truth our waking selves are too busy or too scared to confront. The Oneiroi, those ancient winged messengers, didn't bring terror for the sake of fear alone. They brought insight wrapped in darkness. Even the gods, immortal, powerful, larger than life, needed dreams to learn about themselves and their own inner workings. So if the divine can grow through dreaming, so can you. For the question isn't just, why did I dream that? Rather, I find so much more strength when I ask the deeper, more important question of, what part of me finally found the courage to speak through the dark? Thank you for flying into the shadows with me tonight and for braving the realm of the Oneiroi. Next Tuesday, Yarrow returns for a gentler journey, a practical nights episode focused on creating your perfect nighttime soundscape. We'll talk about music, ambient sounds, and how to curate the space from which your own beautiful dreams, or perhaps just peaceful sleep, can rise. But until then, if your dreams come black-winged and strange, don't run. Instead, remember the Oneiroi. Ask them what they came to teach you. This is Dusk and Dreams. And the night listens back. It's been a privilege to guide you through another night on Dusk and Dreams. If this podcast helps you find peace, spark creativity, or simply offers a moment of captivating escape, please consider following or subscribing wherever you listen. Your support helps us build this community of night-minded souls. We're available on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon, as well as many others. To learn more about the show or connect with me, visit breakgrid.com or follow me at Yarrow Diamond on Instagram. Thank you again for listening. Until we meet again, sleep well, dream freely, and remember, the night listens back